Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to paint your chrome housing headlights to make them look a little bit better. Well, a lot better. So basically I traded these for the STI, the blacked out STI lights that I had with the dynamic C lights. I learned my lesson on the STI lights not to paint the reflector housing, because even with LEDs or HIDs, it's still just too dark. You basically don't have high beams anymore. And I'm also going to be leaving this orange to keep it like a stock-ish look. I'm just going to go ahead and pull these out. If you don't know already how to pull these out, there's a bolt here, a clip here usually. Once you get in here, there's going to be a clip here and a clip here underneath the bumper. And then underneath the bumper, there's going to be another clip here and a clip here. The bumper is just literally a couple simple, it got really dark in here now. The bumper is really just a couple of simple 10 millimeter bolts and clips up top here. And there's going to be, I never put them back in, but there's going to be like a little push pin clip right here in the fender well. And then you're going to have, I forget the exact number because I never really counted. But underneath, you're just going to have some clips that need removed. So there's one there, one there. I think there's 3 more across and then 2 more on the other side. And we're going to pull this bumper off, so I'll save you all the detail or all the trouble, me going through every single detail, because it's pretty simple and you can figure it out pretty easily. So I'm going to pull this bumper off, pull the headlights out, and we'll get them torn apart. Alright, so taking these out took me about 3 minutes and 50 seconds. Ridiculously fast, because I eliminated half the clips and stuff, and I've done this so many times. So now I'm going to get these inside. I'll show you what bolts you're going to need to take off, or what screws you're going to need to take off. We'll get them in the oven, get everything ready to go. Alright guys, this is so simple. Everyone's scared of doing this, but it's really so simple. All you're going to want to do is pull out your bulbs, pull out your low beam and high beam, and then go around, and you're going to need like a smaller screwdriver kit, like this. You can get this at Walmart for like freaking $5 for smaller heads. If you already have them, great. But if not, grab one of these. You'll be able to get down at these tiny screws. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You're going to want to preheat your oven. You can go anywhere between 200 degrees and like 215. Keep it safe. Let that preheat. Once that preheats, you're going to want to put it in between like 7 and 10 minutes. Alright. Alright, now pulling these apart is kind of a pain in the ass. This is the most tedious part, but you just want to go around these tabs, take your time, and just kind of massage in there and break loose all the sealant and pull them out from, separate this lens from the black housing. Alright, now what I tend to do every time I do this is, the first pair I ever did, I tried to reuse the factory sealant. And when I tried to reuse the factory sealant, you had to heat it up and try and lay it back on. And you can never really get it to stay perfect when you separate these. So I always end up just completely taking out all the sealant. This is all of it right here. You're going to take black RTV silicone and or clear, gray, whatever you want. Black kind of shows up a little bit less. Clear can sometimes be noticeable. It's all in your preference. But I literally use one whole tube, and I just go around, and I'll basically re-outline this whole headlight with it, and just kind of do it light at first, and then come back with a second coat and make it around, and then just kind of like push it in anywhere that you feel like it needs it. Once this is after we paint this, then we'll pull this out, we'll paint it, Put that back in. Then we'll go in with the RTV silicone, and then we'll put the lens back in. I just wanted to make sure you guys take all this off. When it's warm, it's really easy to pull it off. So there it is. Also, I actually ended up leaving my bulbs in. I pulled the LEDs out, but I ended up leaving the bulbs in because my high beam bulb, my OLM high beam bulb here, is just spinning and it's not coming out. So yeah, instead of messing with that, I just pulled it off. None of this stuff will get painted, and as long as the temperature is not too high, your bulbs are going to be okay. So now at this point, all we're going to have to do is pull out this Phillips, this Phillips, this Phillips, and then it's already off this clamp here. And then once we get it off, instead of doing what most people do and taking off this C light here, the smart thing to do is just tape it up. If you take it off, you're actually going to end up painting underneath of it too. And then when you put this back on, this C isn't gonna, it's not gonna stand out. It's gonna look cheap. It's gonna look, you know, like it's not supposed to be like that. So you're just gonna take some painter's tape and you're gonna tape up this C light, and then we'll take this off and we'll just spray all the chrome. But this has to stay taped up. Alright, once this is out, you can pop your reflector out. That's literally just these little squares here. You push up, pops right out. It's super simple. Down here, just push, boom, it's out. Like I said, I'm going to leave this alone. I'm not going to paint this at all. You might notice, you know, it's not chrome underneath, so it might kind of pop out a little bit. I don't know. But I think we'll be alright just leaving this unpainted completely and painting this all black. Every time I've done this before, I've actually tinted that or just painted it solid black. And this time, I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm just going to paint, you know, keep it stockish looking, leave the chrome housing here. But everything on this piece will get painted except for this C light section. So I'm going to tape that up. And then we'll sand this thing down with a Scotch pad, and we'll paint it. Doesn't have to be super perfect. Just make sure it's not touching any of the chrome. I might come back and hit this corner. That's kind of shitty. But the rest is pretty good. Now when you go to sand these, they don't have to be perfect because they're going to be protected by your lens. They're not going to be exposed to the outdoor elements. They're not going to be getting washed. So just go ahead and take like a Scotch pad or Brillo pad and just scuff it up a little bit. Alright, so it's going to get loud in here again in a minute when I kick this heater on, but as you can see, I just lightly scuffed. Like I said, I didn't go crazy because this isn't really going to be exposed to any dangerous elements. Now what I'm going to do, I have some wax and grease remover right here. I'm going to spray both these down with wax and grease remover. You can use alcohol, like rubbing alcohol, anything like that. Put it on a shop towel or microfiber and just spray this down. Make sure you get like down in the cracks and stuff, because if any of that is left over in the cracks, it's going to come out when you paint and you're going to have a mess. So what I'm doing today, I actually have this pre-val sprayer system. Now normally I would use my paint gun and my auto paint, but today for the simplicity of this, I'm just going to use this guy here. So I've already mixed up my paint. Here's my black. And here's my clear coat. Most of you will probably be using aerosol cans. But I went ahead and I mixed up my clear coat and my base coat. And I'm going to be putting them in this. So basically what this does is I'll fill this glass jar with the paint. And then this is just an aerosol system. So when you pull or when you push down on the trigger, it will suck paint up through the straw and spray it out like a rattle can. So it's pretty cool. I don't use these very often, actually pretty much never, but they are pretty nifty when you want to use them. Well, this is kind of bad. I ran out of kerosene to heat the garage, so it's going to get cold in here pretty quick. So the base coat's on. Now I'm going to clean out that cup, put the clear coat in there, and spray it on. Hope we don't get too many runs or anything with it being as cold as it is, and not being able to control my fluid content at all with the regular spray can here. So I'm going to let these tack up, get nice and dry, and I'm going to go ahead and put some clear coat on. Alright, I don't think they turned out too bad for what I used. So now I got this heat lamp on them. I'm going to let them get kind of tacky, and then I'm going to pull the tape off just in case it like overlaid it all. When I pull the tape off, it won't peel the paint, because once that paint dries, if it's overlapped at all on that tape, it's going to ruin the paint job when I peel it off. So I'm going to peel that tape off, let them sit out here and get nice and cured up, and then once a few hours passes and they're nice and cured, then we can put them back in. Alright, I got these things untaped, and to be honest, they look incredible for just using this aerosol. It's a little orange peely, but obviously that's to be expected. This thing sprays out just awful. That's why I don't really use these much. But yeah, I didn't want to have to move the car out since I'm in the middle of a project with the car, and get overspray all over the freaking car if I use my air compressor in here. So I figured this would be the best way. I don't have to worry about overspray. It sprays out so little, you know, that there's no overspray at all. But I think that worked out good. I'm just going to keep the heat lamp on these things to keep it warm over here, because if you take these inside, they're going to stink. They will literally stink up your whole house. You know, even though you're not spraying it, you'll smell them. If you don't mind smelling them, whatever, take them inside. Maybe it's warm out if you're doing this, and great. But right here, it's freaking snowing outside. It's freezing. So this is really the only choice that I had. But once these dry, I'll take them inside, pop the reflectors back in them, and get them back in the housings. Alright guys, while I was in here, I wanted to just show you these headlights. Obviously, there's a couple pieces of dirt in it, you know. It's not perfect, but for what it is, it's pretty nice. And once that lens is on there, you're really not going to see a couple little pieces of dirt. So trust me on that one. But they look pretty good for what it is. They have a nice reflection. They look factory. That's about it. That's as good as you're really going to get them. If you go any overboard on them, you know, it's not even worth it. Like I said, once you have the lens over it, you know, you're constantly going to have dirt and scratches and stuff on your lens. So no matter how perfect and meticulous you are with these, the lens is just going to kill it every time. So, you know, you can make them look really nice and aggressive and however you want to do them. Now, when you have these out, this is a perfect time. You could do demon eyes. To run a demon eye, what you would need to do is get some sort of diode or LED, or you know, you could buy one special. You could buy just a LED strip. However you wanted to do it, you could do it as cheap as you want, as expensive as you want, and you would just run a little LED in here or around or up underneath, and it will light this up. So if I take my flashlight here and I light up any of those holes, you see it lights up. So if I would have a red light here, it will light up red, blue, green, whatever color. If you get the multicolored LEDs, anything you want, you know, and then you'll just run that out, and you could hook it up to your C light here. If you end up going with a C light, you'll just pull that piece off there, and you'll put your sea light in. You'll run your wire through here. So you'll take this bulb out, from the backside, obviously. You'll pull that out, and you'll run your wires through. Now, every time I do that, I turn this around, and I'll just show you real quick. And obviously, the wires don't fill all that out. So what you can do is if you're never planning on using this again, you can cut this out, drill a hole through this or something and run the wires through. But honestly, what worked on my last one is I just ran the wires through and filled this whole entire hole up with the silicone, and it worked great. I had no issues with it. It never leaked, never got moisture in there. So that's something that you can try. While this is out, if you want to do the yellow housings in here or something, you could do that. Anything you want to do, now's the time to do it. Definitely don't, I don't plan on putting anything special in these lights now. This is, I'm just making it look a little bit nicer. And, but this is the time to do it. Don't tear these apart just to paint them and then decide a week later, a month later that you want to do the sea lights or you want to do a demon eye or anything, because then you're going back through the whole process all over again. Just do what you want to do now, get it over with. So now it's all reversed from here. So you just want to slap back on your reflector housing. You want to lay this back down into your regular housing here. Don't mind my freaking house. It's a mess right now. Lay that back into your lens. Screw that back on. And then you're going to, like I said before, you're going to run your RTV silicone around this. Get it nice and uniform. Just make sure it's level the whole way around. You're going to use a whole tube of this. If you're applying it liberally, you're going to use a whole entire tube of this. But like I said, just fill that whole valley, with it. And then you don't even need to heat it up. You don't got to do anything. It's supposed to be clamped. So as soon as you push that lens down over your silicone, make sure it lines up, slide it in, and immediately put the screws in. And that's going to be your clamping force. That's going to keep it, held together, and it's going to seal up nicely. All right, guys, as you can see, I got a bead of that new sealant all around. And I'm just going to press this lens into it and put the bolts on. Oh, sorry, this lens here. Alright, I got these headlights put back together. I'm going to go put them back in the car. And we'll see how they look. Alright guys, so the headlights are back in the car and they look pretty good. Just make sure, before you put these in, you test everything. Make sure your high beam works, make sure your low beam works. Just make sure the plug's in right. Make sure they line up real good before you bolt down everything. And if you're still running the LED bulb or even the halogen bulb here for the sea light, or even have a boomerang bulb, whatever you have, if you don't have the sea light, just make sure that you have this bulb in the right way if you remove it, because sometimes the polarity is different, and if you put it in the wrong way, so if the left prong, right prong, you put it in this way, it won't light up. I actually did that on this one, and thankfully I didn't bolt everything back down. I caught it before I put the bumper back on. So just make sure that everything works before you do that, and besides that, they should look good. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to just drop them in the comment section. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to see more of this thing, this hunk of shit. And anyways guys, happy modding, and I'll catch you in the next one.